The objective of this rule is to decline high-risk e-commerce transactions for a range of merchant category codes involving airlines and hotels. In order to decline such transactions, a velocity rule is required. This will need to be created in conjunction with a real-time decisioning rule to decline the transactions which meet the criteria. In this example, the operator between will be used to define parameters in a range. For example, the hotel airline MCCs occur within a certain range, and we will incorporate these ranges for effective rule creation. To create this rule, first click on the Rules Admin tab. Select Velocity from the Rules Type drop-down and Create New Rule. Then give this rule a name, for instance, Velocity E-commerce Airline or Hotel. Then give a meaningful description to track e-commerce transactions from specific high-risk MCC ranges. Now add a definition. This will take you to the Rule Definition Edit Criteria page. Choose Moto ECI Indicator from the Parameters drop-down menu. For operator, select In and the values from 06 to 09. Once you have verified your selection, click Add and Update. In order to aggregate transactions from either of the merchant categories, optional criteria needs to be set. For optional criteria 1, select Merchant Category Code as the parameter, Between as the operator, and the merchant category codes for airlines from 3000 to 3299 as the values. Once complete, click on Add to Criteria List. Next, optional criteria 2 needs to be set. Select Merchant Category Code from the parameters and Between as the operator. For values, enter the merchant category codes 3501 to 3790, which include hotels, motels, inns, and resorts. Once complete, click on Add to Criteria List. Next, optional criteria 3 needs to be set. Select Merchant Category Code as the parameter and In as the operator. For values, enter the merchant category codes that represent airlines and hotels not in the range specified earlier. Include catalogue merchants too. Once complete, click on Add and Update. At this stage, you have the option to accumulate the transaction amount in either the cardholder billing amount or the transaction amount. In this case, choose transaction amount in US dollars and click on Update. Now, this velocity tracking rule has been created to track e-commerce transactions from a range of MCCs for specific merchant types. The next required step is to create the real-time decisioning rule to decline transactions. From the Rule Type drop-down, select Real-Time Decisioning. Then click on Create New Rule. Then give this rule a name, High Risk E-commerce Airline and Hotel. Then give a meaningful description. To decline high-risk e-commerce transactions if the card has been used more than twice or cumulatively for $3,000 within 30 minutes. Now, we need to add a definition. As per our velocity rule, choose Moto ECI Indicator as the parameter. For operator, select In and 06 to 09 as the values. Once you have verified your selection, click Add and Update. As per our velocity rule, optional criteria parameters needs to be set. For optional criteria 1, select Merchant Category Code as the parameter, Between as the operator, and then the merchant category codes for airlines as the value, similar to the velocity rule. Once complete, click on Add to Criteria List. Next, select Velocity Rule followed by a Velocity Rule, i.e. Velocity E-commerce Airline Hotel. For operator, select Occurred Within and 30 minutes as the value. For transaction amount, input more than 2. Once complete, click on Add. For optional criteria 2, select Merchant Category Codes as the parameter. For operator, select Between, and the merchant category codes for hotels, motels, inns, and resorts as the values, similar to our velocity rule. Once complete, click on Add. Then set the parameter as velocity rules. From here, Select the velocity rule created for this real-time decisioning rule. Velocity, Ecom, Airline, Hotel. For operator, select occurred within. For values, input 30 minutes. And for the transaction count, input more than 2. Once these fields have been input, click on Add. For optional criteria 3, select merchant category code as the parameter. For the operator, select IN and merchant category codes 4511, 5964 and 7011 as the value. Once complete, click on Add. Then select the velocity rule created. As before, select occurred within 30 minutes and the count more than 2. Once complete, click on Add. For optional criteria 4, once again select merchant category code as the parameter. For operator, select between and the merchant category codes for airlines 3000 to 3299 as the values. Once complete, click on Add. Then the velocity rule again needs to be selected. As before, select occurred within 30 minutes with the transaction amount more than $3,000. Once complete, click on Add. Next, we need to add our fifth and penultimate optional criteria. As before, select merchant category code as the parameter and between as the operator. For values, enter the merchant category codes for hotels, motels, inns and resorts. Once complete, click on Add. Then once again, the velocity rule needs to be selected. Select occurred within 30 minutes with the transaction amount more than $3,000. Once complete, click on Add. Next, we then need to add our sixth and final optional criteria. For values, enter the merchant category codes 4511, 5964 and 7011. Once complete, click on Add and Update. Then once again, the velocity rule needs to be selected. Once again, select occurred within 30 minutes with the transaction amount more than $3,000. Once complete, click on Add and Update. The rule criteria definitions have now been set, and so can proceed to the processing options. For action, select Decline, and the time frame as always. A large range of parameters can be incorporated within the VRM rule using the operator between. This rule also demonstrates the numbers of optional criteria that can be used within a single rule. Please note the maximum number of optional criteria that can be used is 20. This real-time decisioning rule will decline high-risk e-commerce transactions if the same card has been used more than twice or for a cumulative amount of $3,000 within 30 minutes in airlines or hotels. Please always test your rule, assess the result and activate the rule only after you have determined that the rule meets your objective. Rule activation will follow a batch cycle where activation takes place every 15 minutes from the top of the hour.